Hello, my fellow birds. One of the most common questions I get from friends is, why do I only have an A+? And that is a good question. It's a question I'm sure everyone has asked themselves at one time or another. So I set out to look for answers. And if you are looking for the like button, you will find that right down below the video. And while you're at it, you might want to give the subscribe button some love too. But before we get started with the video, why do we even want an S+? Is it so we can unlock mastery? Do we just want to spam emotes? Maybe. More like yes. But there is another reason, which is clearly more important and which gets way too little attention. You might be able to guess it already in the course of the video. Otherwise, I'll give you the answer at the end. So, where do we start looking for answers now? What I thought was that the S+ usually goes to the player who closes the game the best. And who usually closes the game the best? High elo players. So I searched my friends list for players who play at that elo and looked at their profiles. Then I did the same with low elo players. Then in the last step, I compared both profiles. And here's what I found out. If we look at both players in direct comparison, we notice that the playstyle of the player with a higher elo is clearly more efficient. In this example, we look at Hansama's stats. Gold income, combat stats, as well as vision score are all significantly more pronounced. This is because players in higher elo know what the important and the right things to do are and do them consistently, preferably without wasting time. While players in lower elo ranges usually don't know exactly what the right play is or can't do it efficiently. The whole thing becomes even more impressive when we look at an OTP. This one is an Nivea one trick from my friends list. The account is currently in gold or platinum. Since she no longer has to focus on her champion's abilities at any point, she can focus on other things. Her gold income increases dramatically because trades and fights are automatic. She also gets kills much easier because she can estimate her damage and the damage of the opponent at any time. This also increases her gold income. However, she doesn't seem to spend her hard-earned gold on wards. So I asked her why, and she says they don't do any damage. Yeah, we will go over that topic in another video. So now we know what really matters when it comes to moving up in elo. And in fact, these are also the criteria that Riot has imposed on us to be able to judge whether we deserve an S+ or not. It's combat, gold income, and vision score. I'll be creating a separate video for each of these topics, where I'll go into much more detail, but for now I'll give you an overview so you can start filling your trophy cabinet with S+ awards. So let's start with combat. This includes KDA, damage to champions, damage to objectives, and kill participation. The higher and better these stats are, the higher the chance of getting an S+. The reason for this is that these stats give a strong indication of whether the player is actively participating in the game and using the gold he or her has won to help his team steer the game in a positive direction. It's not mandatory to participate in every single teamfight. Split pushing works just as well, since the damage to objectives is also taken into account. Destroyed towers and inhibs also lead you closer to the goal. Even the nexus counts, so deal as much damage to it as you can. If you only farm and you don't use the gold you've earned, you will be robbing your team of valuable resources and you're reducing your chances of a good rating. There are rumors about where the league uses heatmap tracking. This means Riot records how much the player moves around the map and includes that in the combat stats. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any clear statement on this from Riot. The next important point is one that we have already talked about a lot. And that is gold income. This statistic records how efficiently gold is earned. The key phrase here is gold over time. This means that you want to collect as much gold as possible over the course of the entire game. A pentakill at the start and perfect CS until minute 10 won't get you an S+, if all you do afterwards is walk the scuttle until minute 30. You should remember two guiding principles here. The more good you get, the higher the chance of getting an S+. The faster you get the gold, the higher the chance of getting an S+. So how do you increase your income over time? There is quite a long list for this. A few of the most important things are CS and lane, jungle camps, kills, assists, towers and platings, Baron, not so much though, and wards, which also helps your vision score and brings us to the last point, the vision score. The rule that applies here is the higher your vision score, the higher the chance of getting an S+. All vision works towards this goal, but in order to reach this, you should focus on increasing your vision score by valuable vision and by denying vision. So what do I mean by valuable vision? This basically means not to only spam wards in base or place wards in areas like here, here, or here, if not desperately needed. You want to go for some good warding spots, where enemies actually pass your wards and where you can clear vision. Wards or vision also helps to prevent you from dying by either make use of jungle tracking or seeing incoming ganks. I will make a more detailed video on those. Another thing that is often underestimated is seeing potential kills from well-placed wards in the first place. Having a ward in the enemy jungle, while the enemy Master Yi is just barely standing his ground against the red buff, literally makes you feel the kill before you even have it. By the way, you don't actually have to win the game in order to get an S+, but of course it helps. Now, let's get back to the question at the beginning. Why is it so important to get an S+? Perhaps you have already noticed. The better you perform in each category, the higher the chance of getting an S+. In other words, if you got the S+, you played very well, or at least showed a very good tendency to do so. League is about consistency. If you have less and less bad games and more good games, you will win more and more often and thus increase your MMR and your ELO, and therefore move up the ranking. The S gives you an indication that you have focused on the essential things in this game and that you have put as much effort as possible into the game. There is always something to improve on, but through these ratings, you get a rough feedback. That doesn't always reflect on your own performance, but it still provides an opportunity for reflection. Aiming for the S+ is therefore a good way to improve in the long run and achieve better results in this season. Finally though, here's the answer to the question: how to get an S+ in every game? If the goal for you is really just the S+ itself, there is also a somewhat easier way. Basically a shortcut. Your performance is compared to other players playing the same champion in the same role as you. This means that you usually have a lot of competition. So, to reduce the competition, you can simply play the champion on a different lane. Less competition means that you have a higher chance of leaving the others behind. The same goes for less played champions. But be careful, one trick can push the stats a lot. So, is it time for a Nivea jungle now? I hope not. Or is it? Maybe I will try it. Alright guys, you have a good one and I'll end a couple of jungle games for now. See ya in the next video. Bye.